Hey guys, welcome back to the wrong end of the snake. Steve Botting has graciously agreed to spend another 30 minutes with us, and we sure do appreciate it for the question and answer post show. So Tater, why don't we just get right into it? We've had a bunch of questions, and actually there was a bunch that we didn't get to either. Man, it just flew by. That's how it always is when we're with our friends. So go ahead.
Well, we kind of ended off on airlines and stuff like that. What do you foresee? I know you don't have a crystal ball, but costs of touring via air freight, sea freight when we get back to work? Is it going to be cheaper, more expensive, the same? What are you forecasting for when this rush hits and we're all going everywhere again?
Well, that's a good question. During the COVID period, rates have been ridiculous. I mean, you're seeing stuff going from a couple of dollars a kilo to $14, $15 a kilo.
Jeez.
So just all over the place.
Yeah, it's been insane. I did one quote to Beirut. There's only 4 pallets of gear, and I think it was like $140,000 or close to that. It was crazy money. What do I see with this coming back? I don't know. It could revert back to the way it was. People, I don't know how much revenue with Live Nation losing, the 500 and something million in the last quarter and the same the quarter before, and 529 million I think they lost in the third quarter. Their business was down 98% in the second quarter, 95% in the third quarter. They're surviving, I think, because a lot of people that have already bought tickets are holding on to them. Yeah. But I can see, I spoke to Corey Brenner, who's the manager for Slipknot, and he was telling me that Megadeth next year, they're not getting a guarantee. They're going out. If you don't sell, you don't get paid. And there's all kinds of rumors that you've seen about, there's no COVID insurance. So if you take a guarantee and you don't sell, then you have to pay Live Nation back. There's that kind of rumor going on. I can see it taking some time to get back to where it was. People sharing rooms is what I'm thinking. Going back, if you can wear more than one hat, if you're a sound man and a tour manager, or you can put the drums up or whatever. Like back in when I was starting, it was, I'd mix sound, put up the keyboards, the drums, whatever, and I'd get in the truck and drive to the next gig, get there at 4 o'clock in the morning, sleep for a couple of hours. Stuff that's unheard of these days. We even did a show with the Bangles from, we called it the Over Breakfaster, Zurich to Glasgow. There was a day in between, but we got there at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. We just drove the whole time and then went straight to the gig. So, but I don't think it's going to be that extreme, but I can see a lot of stuff being smaller. I can see productions getting smaller. As I said to my wife, I said, Wings in the mid-70s did like the biggest arena tour in America with 6 trucks, right? So now everybody's out 16, 18, 20 trucks, whatever 24, it is. Yeah. 24 to do arenas. I can see productions getting a lot smaller, especially for bands that actually play, right, that don't need all the backup like Rat Packs or your Justin Biebers that need 30 dancers and video screen and all the rest of it, right?
Yeah. So we're back to 3 carpets and a backline, maybe, huh?
Yeah. Well,
3 rugs and a backline.
Yeah, 3 rugs and a backline.
Pro Tools has got most of the show in it on the side of the stage anyway, right?
So let me ask this real quick. It's kind of a side note. It wasn't a question we had, but with your wife being in the business, does that make it easier or harder? Because you can tell her, man, this is happening. She knows exactly what you're talking about, right? It's not like I don't want to tell you because you don't have a clue what's going on. She knows what's happening here. That's what's kept a 31-year marriage together.
Wow,
impressive.
Yeah, she knows. She's in the biz. She ask me questions, and sometimes she's amazed at how I can deal with something so calmly.
Well, honestly, I bet that most artists, and musicians have no idea what's happening behind the scenes with, what's going on. I remember early on in my career, trying to share something that was going wrong with a famous artist, and they were just like, what are you talking about? Like they had no clue that kind of stuff happens,
I think Duff from Guns N' Roses was pretty good. He's a good businessman, I think.
He is.
He pointed out that for every $1 you spend on a concert ticket, there's 12 spent on auxiliary shit, buying drinks, alcohol, soft drinks, buying T-shirts, the YouTube you take, the Uber rather you take to the show, the hotel you spend your money on, dinner you have, whatever it is. And all those businesses are really affected by obviously what's going on. And obviously coming back, it's going to be difficult. You can't do 25 to 30% capacity venues when you have to sell 70% of the venue to break even. Yeah, so I think artist guarantees are going to be somewhat subdued, going to go down unless you're a surefire seller, unless you're a Gaga or a Bieber or a Stones or something, or a McCarthy. I think all the risk on business development, as in records that went away, there's no tour support anymore. I'm thinking that it's going to be tough for smaller bands to tour when this comes back, and it's probably going to lead to more of what used to happen, where a lot of bands share the same equipment, like what happened with Kevin Lyman's thing.
Warped.
Yeah, Warped. Sorry, I forgot. Yeah. Mental old age. And that's what you used to do in the old days. You used to have, you used to share a drum kit, and then the drummer would bring just a snare and a kicks and a hi-hat or whatever. And then you'd share amps, they'd bring their guitars. And I think you could be seeing some of that again to reduce costs for trucking. And, I think freight's going to be reduced. I think it's going to be a slow comeback.
All I'm hearing right now is I need to retire.
Why don't I have the money?
You're talking and just retire is just floating around my head.
What I'm looking for is a really high-paid part-time job.
Yeah.
That's exactly right.
Real quick, since we just talked about you and your wife, but not just your wife. What about you got your brother? And I didn't even know you said your sister was catering or something. You got your brother Mark. Everybody knows what you're talking about in the Bourdon household, I guess.
What does your brother do, Steve?
My brother tour manages. I mean, the only time it's funny because he worked with me when I had the PA company, but he's kind of proud and he's a really good guy. But we kind of moved in different circles. And when he first came to America, Kathleen McGee was my travel agent, heir apparent, and I said to him, "Hey, use this travel agent. She's really good." So he used her, married her, and then my travel agent became my sister-in-law.
Perfect.
Everybody in the whole family, you can't get anything crossed because they all know what's going on.
I couldn't continue to use her because it just felt so weird,
and
it's just like that connection. But so he moves in different circles. He looked after the Black Crowes. He was looking after Alanis Morissette. In fact, the only time we've really come into contact with each other, which is really weird, was when I was doing Lauryn Hill and he was doing Alanis Morissette. And we were doing the same festivals in Europe, and we were down to Proudfoot. And if I was there early, I'd set up the production office for him, and vice versa. So we had this kind of thing going on.
That's cool.
Kind of cool. But we move in different circles. He was meant to go out to Bare Naked Ladies and Hans Zimmer. He looks after Hans Zimmer, which is challenging. It's like 70 people or whatever. He's got a tour manage. But he's sitting at home at the moment building a decking, I think, like a lot of
the rest of us.
Finding stuff to fill in your spare time with. So
this flooring thing's really taken off. People need flooring.
You should look into that. How would you like to put epoxy floors on every single day?
I don't recommend it.
Yeah, not recommended.
I want to ask you one thing on the side here. Doesn't really relate to much, but be an ex front of house guy, and you get the good thing is when you're doing freight, you get to show up kind of. Not whenever you want, but you're not want to see the whole gig, and you come out there, you still wander out to front of house and go, that's good or that's bad. You got a critique of it, don't you?
Oh, I do, but I of course I do. I mean, I'd be a complete barefaced liar if I said no. But there's certain people in this industry that I really rate, and I'm not going to say who that is, but Pooch is one of them. No, just kidding.
Oh, come on! You've walked out there and been like, "What is this knucklehead doing?"
But I go and look, and of course, I never make a comment. I never make a comment, and that was the same when I was a production manager or tour manager. When I did that, I'd go out the front house and I'd see someone mixing sound, and it's not my position. Especially, they've got their own version or take on how it should sound. Mine might be different. As long as the crowd are loving it and the management love it and the band love it, it's not my position to really critique.
I always say, it's not fair to critique because you don't know what's going on behind the scenes for that front house guy. Like maybe his hands or her hands are tied in regards to management saying, no, the vocal has to be, way louder than everything else. So
I had Debbie Gibson. I was always told the drums were too loud.
Yeah.
Oh, I was going to say that was the problem on the Bengals, not Debbie Gibson.
That's great.
No, the bashing band was lovely. I go back and mix them now and again. I haven't done for a while, but in fact, I don't think they're going to do anymore, unfortunately. But I always had a bonding with them in more ways than one. A bonding with them sonically. And,
yes, right.
They completely trust. If I'm behind the board, I'm very happy to say they completely trust me, and I love mixing their sounds, and I get their harmonies. And I ride it all the time with one hand. One hand is constantly on the harmonies. Right. I don't like to use compressors with them. I ride I know every part, every bit that's coming in, and compressors will come in at odd times and confuse the harmony. So I keep one hand constantly on the vocals, and because they sing like birds, they're amazing.
It's amazing when you work for a band, then you have that kind of a connection. There's been only a few bands in my career where I'm like, I know every single little detail. Linkin Park was one of those bands. I was like, I know exactly what Chester's going to do next. That kind of stuff.
I had that with Adam Ant too. I used to love mixing Adam Ant.
Yeah.
I was actually going to go and see him some Barry Mead for years. So he's tour managing again as he used to. So a good little group they got together. And he seems to be doing quite well with reliving the old albums. But that was another artist I really enjoyed mixing.
Yeah. Oh, okay, yeah.
That's awesome. Hey, I want to take you back just a little bit to the decision to enter a business that there were other established companies like already doing it. And what was it? I want to try to, speak to the kid that is starting a business. Doesn't have to be logistics, anything. What was it that you said, I think I can do this. I think that even though there's other competition out there, there is something about what I believe in myself, or something about that I see in the business, the niche that's missing, whatever it is, that I said, you know what, I can be a competitor in this business, and eventually I can take over. I can be the king of it.
Do it better.
Yeah.
I think first of all, it's a passion. You've got to have a passion for what you want to do, and music was always my passion. And as far as moving into logistics, I didn't have a clue if it was going to work or not. I just jumped in with both feet, and there's competition out there, and I respect the competition. But what I can offer, I think, is my experience from years of being on the road, as we've spoken about, and also attention to detail and being there at the end of the phone whenever you call. You haven't got 2 or 3 people looking after. You can always get hold of me. There's not someone out of the office, I know that there's a big account picked up by a certain guy in sound moves just because he answered the phone, and the production manager was so fed up with the fact that nobody would answer him. He was going around the houses to get hold of anyone. It's a big account, and he picked up the account, and now he's not the best agent in the world, but they've kept loyal to him, and it's that kind of thing. Picking up clients was actually more difficult than I thought it'd be. Let's face it, the competition, the 2 main competitors are good at what they do.
Right.
The Sound Moves was never. They were kind of dormant, really, because it was through Jake Berry. They had U2 and the Rolling Stones. So before 2006, when they got Justin Carbone and a couple of other good people that were hungry, they weren't really hungry. So there was a good opportunity to pick up accounts at that point, which I did. But now they're fiercely competitive. But there's a lot of acts out there. There's a lot of people. I'm a people person. It's forging relationships. I had relationships already. I thought I would get into it with more people coming on board with me than perhaps I did. But I worked it out, and I made new friends. And new production managers, and it's just worked, But I would say for anyone starting out, you've got to have the drive. You've got to be able to talk to people. You've got to be ready to pick up the phone. You've got to be ready to deal with shit, and you've got to realise you're part of the team. Everyone's part of the team out there on the road. So you can't treat anyone. You should always treat them with respect, no matter who it is. From whether it's the caterer, the scumbag, freight guy,
especially the caterer.
That scumbag.
It's all part and parcel. It's all part of the team to make the show work. And so and like we always used to say back in the day, which is not so much these days, I guess, but the opening act of today is the headliner of tomorrow. So don't treat them like shit. Don't give them like 15 minutes to get the gear up and do a sound check. Give them a decent amount of space and time to do that. So anyone getting into the industry now, I would say don't do it. Be a lawyer. Money.
For real, I'm like no.
Entertainment lawyers make $750 an hour. Don't be an idiot. No, but it's dedication and just keep knocking at the door, and you've got to have a passion. You've got to whatever line you're in this industry, you've got to have a passion to do it, and just don't give up. And like I say, always treat people with respect.
I think there's a lot of people that are outside of this industry. I would say that 90% of the people that go to work every day don't have a passion about what they do. So I think it's one of the things that we're very lucky to have is something that we care very much about and we usually make money at. But
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But one of the things I always thought would be a good idea would be to do a tour to colleges with no artist. Just sit there in the audience and explain, starting from marking the floors to the rigging, to putting up the lights, the audio, and then the back line and what everybody does, and then packing it all away and putting it back in the truck and going to the next city and doing it.
That's
kind of a good idea.
Back to the hotel by 8 o'clock every night. Be great.
Yeah, I love it.
No show.
Yeah.
That'd be a great thing because you can't. There is no real academy for going and getting a career on the road. And that is where you tend to pick up a lot of problems because there's no education needed to do this. The backline guys, most of the time, are friends of the band. They don't, and they've got the ear of the band. And there's no real education required to do this. So that's when you, especially with the younger, not so seasoned vets. They don't have the wherewithal to foresee the problems that could occur.
Yeah. I think this industry, it's interesting. We've lived through a time where it is different now. We grew up in the, cocaine cowboy, Lost Boy. You don't have you don't have anywhere else to go. Whereas now it's more like highly skilled. Like there is kids out there that have educations that, especially in the
right. It was, let's face it, nobody cared about the live touring so much back in the day. It was all fun and games. It was all, it was still hard work. It's always been hard work. People seem to think it's glamorous, but you're out there at 7 o'clock in the morning till 2, 3, 4 in the morning. It's not,
Yeah. You haven't used a Chinese stadium bathroom.
Yeah.
There's the real glamour. Yeah.
They used to be like that in Europe. With the Europe. Yeah. It's funny. I was on one tour and one of the buses broke down and the driver was underneath covered in shit. And he's doing this and he's like wrenching on something. And I said, "You okay?" Can't even remember his name. I said, "You okay down there?" He said, "Yeah, my wife wanted me to stop being a bus driver for this." I said, "Really?" He said, "Yeah, but I couldn't give up show business."
Oh my goodness. Well, that's crazy.
I do have to tell you this story. This is funny. Back in the day, as I say, when you used to have to, which are probably after Brexit may be happening again, you used to have to go country to country within Europe and get up and stamp the carnet. I was touring with Alice Cooper, and of course, on the carnet was 300-foot snake. So customs, they didn't care about the gear. They pulled that line item up and they said, "We want to see the snake."
That's great.
And I said, "Do you mean like the multi-core, or do you mean like the live snake?"
The live snake, yeah.
And this was like in the middle of winter, and they said, "Yeah, we want to see the snake," and we had to have like certifications from vets and all kinds of shit with us. We had a heated flight case because obviously the snake was cold. We used to have one room for the snake that had the shower running every day to put the bloody snake in. Sometimes it'd sleep with me, it'd sleep with John Shazuli too. So I'm like, so what what place on earth do you think a 300-foot snake exists?
That's great.
So I said, no, you can't see the snake. If I bring it out now, it'll kill it because it's cold. And I argued with them for a little bit, and they got it. It's like, no, but it's in a heated box. It needs to stay on the bus in the heated box and blah, blah, blah. But that's, I was thinking of you with that one.
That's amazing.
With 2 twist locks shutting that case door, so it's not getting out.
Yeah, it did, yeah.
Wow.
Not getting out.
Not getting out. That's awesome. You got any last funny stories you want to share with us, Steve? It's really been awesome having you.
Yeah,
and you've seen it all. Is there any one that you can remember that you can share with us?
I'm sure there's a million of them, but right
I got a million.
right now I'm drawing a blank.
Okay. Well, thanks for coming, Steve. We really appreciate it. And I hope that some of our viewers out there got a little more information about, how to deal with freight. It's something that we all, have to deal with in this business. And I think it's a mystery. I know when I first started being a production manager, I didn't know anything about it. And guys, EFM is a great place to get knowledge, and they'll be happy to tell you anything that you need to know. So
great team, Michael, Jason. I know I forgot John's early name only because of Michael Sprague. They got the same last name, so I got
Mike Sprague and John
Sorry about
Sprague,
that, Johnny. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, Michelle's good too. They're all good. They're all good dudes. Travis, they're a bunch of good people. I'm lucky to have them.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
Great team.
Well, thanks for coming, Steve, and we hope that we see you in person sometime soon.
Yes, let's hope this thing gets. I mean, the vaccines come along. I saw 1.3 billion. The population of the Earth is just under 9 billion, so it's a good start, but it's nothing to. We're not out of the woods yet by far. So.
I know. I think that the other part of this is going to be rapid testing, right? Like we definitely have to have the ability to have some sort of right now kind of testing in order to have large shows.
The 15-minute test is good. I mean, because you can do that before you get on a plane, and everybody can do that, or on a bus, or any sort of mass event. You can the 15-minute testing is great, so you can make it quick and affordable and available. That would certainly help as well.
Yeah,
we're gonna get there. We're gonna get there soon.
We're gonna get there. All right, guys. Well, thanks for listening. Thanks for coming to the question and answer period, and and subscribe. Tell your friends.
Yeah, we'll do.
All right.
Yeah. Take care. Great to see you guys. And thanks.
All right, guys.
All right, cheers.